Its starting second migrant invasion force forms begins marching towards U.S. The plan is finally being revealed. We are in the midst of an all-out invasion from the south. As one caravan makes its way to our southern border, reports are now saying there is a second invading army of people mounting and making its way to our nation. Here is more on this via the Daily Mail. The second caravan is made up of 1,000 people and crossed the border from Honduras into Guatemala on Sunday, before arriving in the town of Chiquimula on Monday night. They are following in the path of a much larger group, believed to number around 7,000, which was sheltering in the town of Huixtla, in southern Mexcio, overnight on Monday. It is not clear exactly when or where the second group started their march, though it is believed to be somewhere near San Pedro Sula, where the first started. Pictures from the second group show mostly young men being confronted by police as they walked into Chiquimula on Monday night. The group, some of whom were accompanied by young children, waved Honduran flags as they marched. Guatemalan armed forces also arrived to keep an eye on the migrants as they passed through on their way to America. They are around 200 miles behind the first group, with at least 1,300 miles between them and the nearest U.S. border crossing in McAllen, Texas. President Trump has vowed to turn away the onslaught of illegal aliens before they reach the U.S., and has even floated the idea of using the army to do so. However, his hardline rhetoric does not appear to have deterred marchers from joining the caravans, claiming there is no life for them in Honduras because of a lack of jobs and soaring crime rates. Trump has also threatened to cut aid to Guatemala, Honduras and El Salvador for allowing migrants to pass through. He was initially complimentary of Mexico's efforts to stop the migrants crossing a bridge from Guatemala into the southern state of Chiapas, though the first caravan eventually found its way around the blockade. The president has also accused Middle Easterners of traveling with the caravans, though reporters at the scene said they had not seen evidence of this. Associated Press reported that the caravans were largely made up of Hondurans, Guatemalans and Salvadorans. Fox News reported that several people traveling in the caravan had already been deported from the U.S., but were heading back to try and get into the country again. The president also returned to his political messaging just 15 days before the midterm congressional election, saying voters who fear the impact of a mass influx of illegal immigrants should elect more Republicans. Every time you see a caravan, or people illegally coming, or attempting to come, into our country illegally, think of and blame the Democrats for not giving us the votes to change our pathetic immigration laws. Remember the midterms. So unfair to those who come in legally, he said. The first caravan is thought to have started with a group of 200 migrants traveling together for safety who set out from San Pedro Sula around October 13. However, it has now swelled to around 7,000 people during the course of the march, which has already taken them almost 300 miles from Honduras to the town of Huixtla, Mexico, where they were camped on Monday night. The first group met little resistance as it marched across Guatemala, but was initially turned back by police armed with riot shields and tear gas when it reached Mexico. Thousands crowded onto a narrow bridge running between the two countries on Friday as they were told they would need to apply for visas before entering the country. While several hundred heeded the call, and many are still camped out awaiting processing, thousands more found ways across the river, including sailing on makeshift rafts and being taken across in the cars of native Mexicans. They now face a slog of at least 1,000 miles across Mexico before reaching the closest crossing point into the U.S. Many migrants traveling in another caravan, which set out earlier this year, dropped out during this phase. It appears the migrants are walking around 20 miles per day. At that rate, they should arrive at the U.S. southern border sometime around the new year. However, there are fears that Mexican cartels, which control much of the illegal migration through the country, will try to help them across, for exorbitant fees. DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen warned that criminals and people smugglers will be hunted down and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Speaking on Sunday about the group who had crossed into Mexico, Nielsen said, "While we closely monitor the caravan crisis, we must remain mindful of the transnational criminal organizations and other criminals that prey on the vulnerabilities of those undertaking the irregular migration journey. We shall work with our partners in the region to investigate and prosecute to the fullest extent of the law all who seek to encourage and profit from irregular migration. We fully support the efforts of Guatemala, Honduras and Mexico, as they seek to address this critical situation and ensure a safer and more secure region."